Sounds great.
Om Namo Loe Sarvatrikalavarti Aryantanam. Om Namo Loe Sarvatrikalavarti Siddhanam. Om Namo Loe Sarvatrikalavarti Ayaryanam. Om Namo Loe Sarvatrikalavarti Uvajjayanam. Om Namo Loe Sarvatrikalavarti Savanam. Omkaram Bindu Sanyuktam Nityam Dhayanti Yoginam Kamadam Moksadam Chaiva Omkaraya Namo Namah. नमः समयसाराय स्वानुभूत्या चकासते चित् स्वभावाय भावाय सर्वभावान्तरच्छिदे अज्ञानतिमिर अन्धानां ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः तीर्थङ्करो जगन्नाथो ओंकारनाद जिननो जयवन्तो जिनना समो शरण सौ जयवंत वर्तो तीर्थचार जगमा जयवंत वर्तो नमो ए तीर्थनायक ने नमो ओंकार नादने ओंकार संगरुतेने नमो ते श्री कुंद कुंदने अहो उपकार जिनवर नो कुंदनो ध्वनि दिव्यनो जीन कुंद ध्वनि अहो ते गुरुकाननो अहो ते भगवती मातनो ध्रुव अचल ने अनुपम गति पामेल सर्वे से धन वंदे कहो सुत केवली भाषित आसमय प्रारब्ध अरे एक शुद्ध सदा अरूपी ज्ञान दर्शनमय खरे कहीं अन्यते मारू जरी परमाणु मात्र नथी अरे जम नेत्र तेमज ज्ञान नथी कारक नथी वेदक अरे जाने जकर मोदय निरजरा बंद तेमज मोक्ष ने ओम नमः सिद्धेभ्यो ओम नमः सिद्धेभ्यो ओम श्री सुधात्माने नमः जय जिनेन्द्र Today is June 6, 2018, Wednesday, and we are going to continue our discussion on Samaisa. We are on stanza 13, and in Samaisa stanza 13, it just tells us about the modal aspect of 9 reals. And the last time when we met, I think 2 weeks back, at that time we talked about modal aspect and divided that modal aspect into 2 parts, one coming from the soul and one coming from the karma. Combined together, one coming from the soul is called bhav karma. Bhav karma means psychic karma. Psychic karma means soul's inclination. And material karma is called material karma. It's called dravya karma. So bhav karma, psychic inclination of the soul, and dravya karma means material dravya karma fruition. Combined together, the reals are formed, tattva are formed. So we have the 9 tattva getting originated in that way. Remember, to get expression of any tattva, to have the expression, so you need both the things. You need the soul as its own principal cause, having its mode, and we need the fruition of karma, or karma acting as an instrumental cause. That karma acting as an instrumental cause can be in the form of presence of karma or in the form of absence of karma. So that way we have all these 9 reals are generated. So that's what we went into great detail last time. And so now we are going to proceed further. So I'm going to bring the slide. So we are seeing this slide, and we went through a great deal of explanation about all these points over here. And we just divided this both the side: pap, punya, inflow, bondage, stoppage, shading, moksha, or pap, punya, asra, burn, samvar, nirjara, moksha. And we divided them into two parts. One is a psychic karma or bhav karma, and one is called material karma or dravya karma. And they both have principal cause auxiliary cause relationship. In that way, each tattva, each real, each element is expressed. So this is expressed in the form of pap. This is expressed in the form of punya. This one is expressed in the form of inflow. Inflow means ashra. Bondage is expressed in the form of bondage. Bhav stoppage and dravya stoppage combined together expresses as a stoppage or samvar tattva. Shading and that means a psychic shading and material shading combined together is called shading tattva or shading real or nirjara tattva. And same thing for the moksha. Moksha bhav moksha, dravya moksha, and combined together is called moksha tattva. So these are the things happening in the soul when it comes in the association with the karma. That association, remember one thing, that association could be in the presence of karma fruition or absence of karma fruition. Last three guys over here, stop at shading moksha. There is a karma acting as a an auxiliary cause in the form of being absent. Absent of karma also acts as an auxiliary cause. Pap, punya, inflow, bondage, the karma acts as a presence of karma acting as an auxiliary cause. But in the over last three guys, top at Shamvar Moksha, they are karma are absent, and absence of karma acting as an auxiliary cause. Remember, Acharya Bhagwan has given absolute, and that is again, Acharya Bhagwan got the knowledge from his guru, and and if we continue that way, then ultimately it is coming from Mahavir Swami. And so Mahavir Swami gave the discourses, and in the lineage of the Acharya Bhagwan, that discourse is carried forward. And when our present Acharya, in the sense Kunkun Acharya Dev, Amritchandra Acharya Dev, they had they obtained the knowledge through the excuse me, through the pedigree, as well as they also had their own experience in the soul, and they gave us this information to us, and so we know it. So it is absolutely microscopic, that there is no room for even doubts about it, because everything is explained. That's where the systems are, that's where it has been explained. So having known this one, now we are going to go through karma perspective. Now we are separating those two things, karma and the soul perspective, in this another possible way. The standard teaching that is given in the Pathshala, that excuse me, that a person is sitting in a boat, and that boat has a hole occurs and water starts coming into the boat. Then what is this guy doing? He's taking the holes in the boat, so he starts taking the water out. But that is not going to work, because water will still keep on coming. So ultimately it says, first you plug the hole first. These holes are to be plugged first. Once you do that, then take the water in the boat out. And once you do that, then the boat can sail through the transmigratory ocean without much problem. So these are all these things we saw from the karma. Karma came in, karma are over here, karma coming is blocked up, karma is now taken out, and karma-free state, and the boat, the man with the boat, it's sailing through the transmigratory ocean. This is karma perspective, and I have to know this one. But again, who am I? What is there for me? This is karma perspective. What about my soul? What is happening to the soul? So we have to answer that one. We have to have pretty good understanding about this one. So what happens now? Soul's perspective. Soul's perspective means soul's inclination of auspicious inclination and inauspicious inclination. Means soul's punya and pap bhav, inclinations are occurring within me. I am thinking to help somebody. I am thinking to do swadhyay today. I am thinking to do reading of the scripture. So that's an auspicious inclination. Inauspicious inclination, by mind, speech, and action, I would like to hurt somebody. So that is my inauspicious inclination. Those are the inclinations occurring in the soul, and they are the deluding state of the soul. They are the impure state of the soul. So those are my deluding state is the first bullet over here. In the second bullet, it says soul's inclination of rag, rag and dvesh, etc., is called psychic inflow. Psychic means occurring in the soul. So inclination of inflow, let's put it that way. Inclination of inflow. Now, the question occurs in the mind that we are saying inclination with the auspicious and inauspicious inclination over here. And we are telling same thing basically over here. And we say psychic inflow. So why do we have two separate things? Why can't we have one bullet only? The question is, pap and punya, they are occurring in me. They are deluding state. And over here, I say psychic inflow means bhav ashrav. Bhav ashrav. So this is also bhav ashrav with the auspicious, inauspicious inclination. And bhav ashrav is also there. Why do we have to separate those two things? Some of the acharyas, they combine both together, and they just say simply psychic inflow and auspicious inclination, inauspicious inclination, both are included in psychic inflow. Now, your still question remains in your mind that why? Why do we have two separate things to occur? Why do we have to separate these two guys separately? The reason is the 5 reasons for karma attraction to the soul. 5 reasons that inflow of karma occurs to the soul. Wrong belief, vowlessness state, carelessness state, toxic emotions, and yoga. Once again, mithyatva, avirati, pramad, kashai, and yoga. The 5 activities, 5 things by which karma gets attracted to the soul. Once again, in wrong belief, vowlessness, carelessness, toxic emotions, and yoga, which is called mithyatva, avirati, pramad, kashai, and yoga. 5 ways karma can get attracted to the soul. Now, out of this 5, we can make it into 2 separate things only. Out of 5, we can lump sum them into 2 parts only. One is a mithyatva, and second is a yoga. Or Mithyatva, Avriti, Pramad, Kashaya, they are combined together and they are made into Mithyatva only. And remaining thing is a yoga. So with this Mithyatva and yoga, Mithyatva has a 4 different things. Mithyatva, Avirati, Pramad, Kashaya. So Mithyatva and yoga combined together, they two together make up to 14 spiritual developmental stage. Chaud Gun Sthanak, they are made by these 2 guys, Mithyatva and yoga. Now, this Mithyatva means wrong belief, means conduct related problem. Conduct related problem. Conduct related problem could be 2 types. The faith conduct problem and faith related and conduct related. So these 2 things in coming in Mithyatva, and one is a yoga. So combined together, we can make 14 Gunsthanak. We don't want, that's not our topic right now, but we are coming to this point between these 2 bullets. So the Charitra Mohaniya karma means a conduct deluding karma, means deluding karma. The deluding karma remains up to 10th Gunsthanak, and at the 12th Gunsthanak, they really go away completely. In the 11th Gunsthanak, they are suppressed, and 12th Gunsthanak, they are completely gone. So 11 and 12, those are the state in which the conduct, the deluding karma are totally absent, and auspicious inclination, inauspicious inclination occurs in the conduct related problem. So Charitra Mohaniya and Darshan Mohaniya, those are the 2 places that are auspicious and inauspicious inclination occurs. Now you are coming in 13 Gunsthanak and 14 Gunsthanak, only yoga remains. Mithyatva is gone, yoga is remaining. That yoga does not have any auspicious, inauspicious inclination at all. It is just simply the association of the body with the soul. And that's why there is also inflow occurs over here. But in this inflow, there is no auspicious, inauspicious inclination. Auspicious, inauspicious inclination remains up to the end of 10th Gunsthanak. And 13th and 14th Gunsthanak, there is still inflow of karma, but that is occurring only because of yoga. And that yoga related karma are so feeble, as if you put a line in the water and the your line getting drawn as you pull your finger, and on the back it just gets erased. Same way, this type of karma, they come, they remain for one samay, then they get out. So that's why these 2 guys are separated out, Okay, all right. So having said that, intensity of inclination of attachment, etc. state is called psychic bondage. Means how intense is my rag and dvesh. That will tell me that how severe the bondage is going to occur. So that is my state also. Then over here, samvar means psychic stoppage, means beginning of purity. I have purity generating within me. So now the real progress for soul starts. The real progress starts. Until now, there was no progress at all. Now the beginning of purity started. That is called Samyak Darshan. That is called 4th Gunsthanak. And now the soul keeps on climbing the ladder, in which it keeps on increasing its purity progressively. So next step is increasing purity, which is called psychic shading. Over karma stops coming, and whatever karma sitting in dormancy, they start getting shading off also. And ultimately, completion of purity means psychic liberation, means bhav moksha. So this is the way from the soul's perspective, these things are happening. We saw from the karma perspective, now we know soul's perspective, and my interest is soul's perspective. Our interest is soul's perspective. So now I know what are the steps I'm going to go through. Now let's go further. The flour needs to be prepared first to make bread. Now there's an example by Acharya Bhagwan and Gurudev Sri gives example. Flour needs to be prepared first to make bread. Similarly, one needs to prepare his knowledge to know above mentioned nature of 9 reals in detail. You cannot make bread, you cannot make roti just like that. You need to prepare the bread. You have to, you have to prepare the flour. You have to take the flour, you have to put the water inside and your oil inside and just make a lump of that flour. And now from that you are going to make the bread. Similarly, with my knowledge, whatever knowledge I have it, I understand the real nature of 9 reals. I understand the real nature of 9 elements. What they are, what is their nature, or why they are occurring, how can I stop them, and all kind of information I have gathered right now. Now, soul's mode come from the soul by soul by having its own eligibility to be in that particular form, be it impure, partial pure, or completely pure. My modes, they keep on coming every summer non-stop in the past, for non-stop in the past, and non-stop will be there in future forever and ever and ever and ever. That mode could be impure, could be partially pure or completely pure, but they come with its own eligibility. I have tons and tons and billions, infinite modes. They are buried within my soul, and each mode they keep on coming, and each mode comes in its particular time. If I take 10 modes, then 5th mode comes at particular time only. It cannot come on a 4th samay, it cannot come on the 6th samay, it comes only at that given time only. If I decide to change my mode, my 5 number mode, I want to make it to come on the 4th. I have no capacity to change the presentation of the mode coming in its own sequence. Not only I have no capacity, but even Bhagwan or a very highly learned saint, nobody has any capacity to change the mode coming in its sequential order. You may say, wait a second, I don't believe that. Question, that I don't believe that. I can change my mode. I want to change it. I decided to go to airport by this way, but now I'm going to go this route. So I changed that things. That's what I think I did. In fact, at that time, I was supposed to go that roundabout only. And that's why that mode came that way. That's why my thought process came that way. So I cannot change the presentation of my mode no matter what. We can say, why not? That's a valid question. Why not? Why not? Because what happens, remember, any action perceived, there is a presence of my mode and there is a presence of fruition of karma, both combined together, and they give the picture. Just like that water in the pond is colorless. Water coming out of a fountain and light coming out over here. So light acting as instrumental cause. Water, the water particles at the time, they have their modes to be shown as a colored water. So this colorless water comes out and the light comes, and so I can see red, yellow, orange, green water. But that time, water was supposed to have that color occur in water's mode, and the light had its own mode to be on at that particular time. I'm becoming angry, and there's a fruition of karma occurring over here. Anger producing material karma is in fruition state, and I'm angry over here. There is a principal cause auxiliary cause relationship, and anger is perceived. If you say that still I'm not convinced, and I am an intelligent guy, I have 5 senses and mind, and I can change my mode. Well, again, Acharya Bhagavan says it's not possible, because if you change 5 number mode, which was supposed to be, let's say, angry mode, and you or 5 number mode was supposed to be purity beginning mode, sambar mode, and you want to bring it to fourth samay. Fifth samay was the origin for that purity mode, and I said I'm going to bring it on a 4th samay. Now in the 5th samay, to have that mode of my purity, there is also particular type of karma in fruition on this side on the same time. Now if I'm changing to 4th number, so this guy has to change it to 4th number too. Now when I'm changing from 5th to 4th, the material karma I have to change it from 5th to 4th mode. And with the material karma, there is presence of body also. So body has to change it to 4th mode also. With the association of the body, there is evidence of a house and a car and family and business and everything. So they are also supposed to change it to the 4th. And so on and so forth. Everything, every whole universe needs to change if I want to change one mode lasting for one samay only. And Tirthankar Bhagwan has no capacity, Muni Maharaj has no capacity, Samyak Darshan Jeev has no capacity, and I have no capacity to change the mode. For example, Mahavir Swami got Keval Gnan at age 42, and his Nirvana came at 72. He is a Bhagwan at age 42. Can he not say, hey, I would like to go to moksha right now? No, because he's unable to change his mode. Rishabdev Bhagwan, after obtaining Keval Gnan, he has to wait for 1,000 years to become Siddha Bhagwan. Can he not say that, you know what, I'm Kevali, I'm going to change my mode and I'm going to go to moksha right now? Nobody ever can change their modes. So, I have to just see that how these things are occurring. That's all with my knowledge. I have to know it, and then material karma, presence or absence, work as an instrumental cause. They are simply present, but does not do anything to the soul's activity. Soul's activity is independent of everything else, except there is a principal cause, auxiliary cause relationship with the available karma fruitions and everything. So we have to have this clarity, and this 13th stanza makes that clarity clear in our mind, that I am responsible for my deeds. I cannot do anything to the material karma. I cannot do anything to this physical body and my objects of the world associated with my physical body. I'm cold, I'm hot, I have the house to live, I have business to go, I have money, I'm poor, I have a car, I don't have a car. All those things are associated with the soul, but soul is independent. Now, first, one knows the true nature of all 9 real. One has to know the true nature the way we understood so far. He now knows that these are modes. Knowing that 9 reals, knowing the nature of the 9 elements, now I know that they are modes. And once knowing this fact that they are modes, then he brings his attention away from these 9 reals in the form of 9 modes. These 9 modes are occurring, they are in the modal state. And modal state, if I put my attention to the modal state, if I put attention to my modal state, then what happens at the time, there is a presence of rag occurs. Modal state, faith on the modal state produces rag, produces inclination of attachment. And so, and my real nature is beyond the inclination of attachment state. So I have to take my attention away from my modal aspect, knowing that they are there, knowing to know the real nature of 9 reals, and thereafter knowing that they are modes, now take attention away. Why do we have to make it so complicated? First, we just have to say 9 reals are there. Now I understood all the 9 reals. I put all the efforts to understand about 9 reals. And now you are saying there is a mode. And now you take this attention away from the mode and bring it. Why do we have all this confusion? There's no confusion. This is the way it is. You and me are wandering in the transmigration forever because we did not understand the real nature of 9 reals. We did not understand the real nature of 9 elements. Now that I understand, then I know that these are modal state, and thereafter I have to take this attention away from them. He is now, his attention focused on the true nature of the eternal soul substance. Because within that 9 reals, behind that 9 reals, the eternal soul substance is hiding. So now I have to find that hidden jewel, that hidden treasure is in the eternal, the true nature of soul substance. And now with this stepping stone of 9 elements, now I jump and try to see and experience eternal soul substance. The eternal soul substance is entirely different from the modal form. Modal state is entirely separate and eternal soul is separate. How come? Because modal state is modes and eternal soul substance is eternal soul substance. Modal state is transient. Eternal soul substance is permanent. Modal state associated with the anxiety and apprehension and also with the inclination of attachment and aversion. The eternal soul substance has no anxiety, no inclination of attachment or aversion. It is pure state. So now I have to separate them out. With attention to his soul substance, one end up getting right faith. I want to get the right faith. I want to get Samyak Darshan. How can I get that Samyak Darshan? That is my quest to obtain Samyak Darshan. And Acharya Bhagwan and also Gurudev Sri gives this kind of steps to us. Simply knowing 9 real does not mean anything. Everybody went to Patshala. You have been saying that karma is 148 types of karma, is 8 types of karma, and when we divide them, it becomes 148 types of karma for subdivisions, and they are occurring this way and that and all kind of things. Karma bondage occurs in these fashions and everything. All those things I understood, but it is the book knowledge only, because I have not put those 9 elements knowledge into practicality. How come? Well, let's see. Today I decided to do fasting. Not only 1 day fasting, 2 day fasting, 3 day fasting, maybe 30 days of fasting, 45 days of fasting, whatever. Okay. And what do I think at the time? It's a fasting is a bodily function. Bodily function. And I think at that time, I think, I presume, I believe. Remember, those words are important. Doing fasting, everything is not a problem. But believing that by doing that activity, I'm doing some beneficial act to the soul. Well, fasting occurs to the physical body. Nothing has happened to the soul. Now, I think that it's beneficial to the soul. In fact, bodily activity of fasting possibly is a auspicious inclination. So it's an auspicious inflow. It is called asrav. It is called punya asrav. And I think, I presume, I believe that by doing bodily activity, I'm benefiting my soul. Means I am getting somewhere in nijara. I'm getting stoppage and shading of the karma from me. And that belief is wrong belief. Because now from the inflow element, I'm merging with the shading and shading and stoppage element. આશ્રવ તત્વને સંવર નિજરા તત્વની અંદર ભેગા કરી દીધા. Means I have not understood 9 elements in reality. That's an extreme basic step. Remember, all this discussion occurs on the basis of belief. Literature doesn't say you don't do the fasting. Literature doesn't say you don't do the swadhyaya, or it doesn't. It says do all the things, but is it beneficial to my soul? And answer is no. So we have to really be aware of it. So first, I know the reality of 9 reals in the modal state, and I act accordingly. I make my belief change accordingly. And now, from those 9 elements understanding, now I go within, and when I experience my soul substance by bringing the attention to the eternal soul substance, and that means my purity has just started. So these are the steps we have to take it to obtain Samyak Darshan. In the all-knower soul substance, there are no divisions perceived, because when we say 9 elements, means punya, pap, asra, bandh, samvar, nidra, moksha, ajiv, jiv, means all 9 elements, they are in the form of divisions. In the all-knower eternal soul substance, there are no divisions. It is an indivisible substance, indivisible things with the infinite attributes and infinite modes present, and those are in the indivisible pattern. Means you cannot take one thing out from the soul substance, or you cannot put something more into the soul substance. It is a perfect, and that's it. You can't, there is no input or output from there. So it's an indivisible thing. Soul by itself is not able to create all 9 reals. Soul does not create 9 reals. Then what happens? Of course, these modes are present in the soul with their own eligibility. This soul is having infinite modes sitting in the dormancy into the soul substance. And one at a time, these modes are coming with their own eligibility, in which soul substance has no control over it. Soul substance says, I'm separate, in the sense, modes can do its own job, I'll do my own job, just like the way we have the household, and parents are doing their own job, parents are doing earning the bread and cooking the bread. That is their job. And children's job in the house is to help parents to keep the house clean and go to the school and study, etc. So those are the division of labor are there in the house. Similarly, here in the soul substance says, I'm eternal soul substance, I'm inert, and I'm in the indivisible form, and that's it, that's my job. Attributes, they say we are infinite attributes, but we are separate from each other. And modes are saying that we are doing the action, we are generated every moment, and each mode comes with its own eligibility. So that is one that is happening. When instrumental causes also joins the eligibility of a given mode, then both together end up making divisions of 9 reals. Here is a Pap, Punya, Asra, Samvar, Bandh, Nirjara, Moksha. Modes are occurring in the soul. And over here, instrumental cause in the form of a karma fruition or absence of karma fruition. And combined together, they create 9 reals. They are the modal aspect. So first thing, I have to understand how these 9 reals are formed. Now that I know how the 9 reals are formed, now gradually I take attention away from them. And I know that those modes are coming with their own eligibility. Soul substance has no control on it. So now I'm putting my attention to the eternal soul substance. And that's where my Samyak Darshan occurs. My real faith occurs. My purity starts. And thereafter, it just goes leaps and bounds and it keeps on increasing. And then finally, the soul ends up going to liberation, where there is an ultimate, everlasting, uninterrupted happiness and bliss occurring. With soul alone, there are no divisions of 9 reals perceived. Siddha Bhagwan also has a pure soul. Aryan Bhagwan is a pure soul. And besides everybody else, besides those 2 entities, everybody's souls from substance perspective is pure. From the modal perspective, there is impurity. So modal point of view, what is modal point of view? For external gross alien perspective means sthul drashti thi. From gross perspective, I'm looking at it, what it is. When one comes near the bondage mode, which is present since time infinite in the past, means now I am looking from gross perspective, my modal perspective. Remember, previous slide we said substantial perspective, but now it just says, first, I come to understand the modal perspective. And modal perspective means my own modes occurring in its own eligibility, and karma fruition occurs by its own eligibility, and combined together, 9 reals are perceived in the modal state. So then this 9 real state is a true one. If I look from a modal perspective only, હું પર્યાય દ્રષ્ટિથી જોઉં છું તો all these 9 reals are real. They are present. They are there. Their existence is not denied. Pap, Punya, Asra, Bandh, Samvar, Nirjara, Moksha, all those elements are present. But this is from modal perspective I'm looking at it. Keep that in mind. So that means these modes do exist. Experiencing of these modes is a true thing. Wait a second. What do we say? Experiencing of these modes is a true thing when I'm looking from modal perspective. So I'm feeling inclination of attachment. I'm feeling inclination of aversion. I'm feeling psychic inflow. I'm feeling psychic bondage. I'm feeling purity generating within me. I'm feeling purity increasing within me. I'm feeling complete purity occurring within me. So these are the modal state. I'm looking at it. So modal perspective, from modal perspective, they are true one. They are present. Their presence is not denied. Their existence is there. But they are in the modes. We have to keep that in mind. Because they are in the modes, that means they are divisional aspect. Because there is divisional aspect, so there is associated rag and dvesh. That's why if I keep modal attitude alone, I will never get to go with a Samyak Darshan or right faith experiencing state. To have the right faith experiencing state, I have to take attention away from the modal state. So all these things, I know what it is, I know their existence, I know that they are present, but they are from the modal point of view, and so I have to take the attention away. So now I have to bring the substantial point of view. When cultivates this substantial vision, means now I am taking my faith away from the modal state. Now my faith mode is directed to the eternal soul substance. Then those modal states are not true ones. Remember, we have to compare. If I draw one line on the wall, I know I draw one line on the wall and I said, without erasing, without touching, make them small. How can I do it? Well, I make another big line and automatically this line is perceived as a small one. So same way, initially I have the modal vision, but then when I do substantial vision, then this modal vision, they were there, they're true one. But compared to substantial vision, compared to my faith to the eternal soul substance, this modal state becomes very minuscule and they are not important. They become secondary in nature. My importance from the modal state goes away. I don't have to move my modal state away. As I have vision to the substantial point, my automatically vision is not on the modal state. I'm standing in the east, and now I'm changing towards the west. Whatever degree that I'm going to the west, that much degree I'm losing from the east. So simply, I don't have to lose anything, but I'm gaining the other side. When I'm gaining toward the eternal soul substance, then my modal state becomes secondary, becomes less important. When experiencing the eternal true nature of the self, then the divisional aspect of nine reals becomes secondary and thereby untrue. They are present. Their existence is not denied. But when I'm comparing to eternal soul substance, then this modal vision becomes very secondary and untrue. The highest truth comes out when Acharya Bhagavan says modal state is secondary and is untrue. Modal state is secondary and untrue. When it says that, then the learned student asks question that what about Keval Gnan Paryay? What about the mode of the omniscience mode, omniscience knowledge mode? And Acharya Bhagavan says that compared to eternal soul substance, that omniscient knowledge mode becomes secondary and becomes untrue. Wait a second. Keval Gnan Paryay is untrue? Remember, compared to what? Compared to eternal soul substance. You have a business running right now. That business is making $1 million per day as a profit. Somebody comes and says, I want to buy this business for $5 million. This business is profiting net $1 million. Somebody wants to give you $5 million to buy it. Would you buy it? Would you sell it? Why will I do it? Because I'm making $1 million every day. So I'm not going to sell it for $5 million. Similarly, when eternal soul substance is there, from which the mode of the omniscience mode is coming out. So the omniscient knowledge mode is a secondary in nature. It lasts for only one transient samay only, and thereafter it's dissipating. And so my eternal soul substance is full of infinite amount this knowledge modes within, staying within in the form of a dormancy. So eternal soul substance is far, 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 far more important than even Keval Gnan Paryay that I have it. And this is the highest truth that has been propagated by Kunkunacharya Dev, who went to Mahadev Kshetra. He stayed 7 days. He listened to the discourses of omniscient Lord Simanda Swami, and when there was no discourses, he also sat down with Sut Kevali and everything. He had an intense discussion. He came back to Bharat Kshetra, and then he created pictures. So that way, we know that whatever Kunkunacharya they wrote down is coming directly from the discourses of Lord Simanda Swami.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. Sorry, yeah, go ahead.
Kirit, just a question.
Yeah.
તમે જે મહાવિદ્ય ક્ષેત્રનું કીધું ને કુંકુંદ આચાર્ય, તો એ ઔદારિક શરીરથી મહાવિદ્ય ક્ષેત્રમાં પહોંચ્યા.
Yes.
So how is that possible?
When you are in 6th and 7th Gunsthana, and when there is a certain Muniraj who have the absolute purity within, then they have extraordinary power get generated within them.
But that's aharak sarir.
No, audaric. Aharik is coming from the right shoulder and goes out. But this is the audaric physical body. That there are 7 different types of 64 different types of ruddhi, means extraordinary capacity. Some Muniraj can get it. Not all 64. Somebody has a capacity to become microscopic body. Somebody has capacity to become gigantic body. Somebody can walk on the water. Somebody can pass through the microscopic thing. Somebody can walk in the space and everything. So these types of extraordinary.
વૈક્રિય લબ્ધિની વાત કરો છો? They develop વૈક્રિય લબ્ધિ.
But એમાં 64 વૃદ્ધિ આવે છે. 64 લબ્ધિ આવે.
વૈક્રિય લબ્ધિથી જાય છે ત્યાં.
હા, એ લબ્ધિ. And for example, if you have heard the story of Raksha Bandhan, that Vishnu Kumar Muniraj, he is 6th and 7th Gunsthana, and he is in meditative state, and his brother's kingdom, 100 monks, 100 Digambar monks, 700 Digambar monks, that one wicked person is putting fire around them, and he is planning to make sure that those Muniraj gets burned out, they burn out alive, Somebody went to Vishnu Kumar Muniraj and said, Vishnu Kumar, you have to help your 700 Muniraj. And Vishnu Kumar said, how can I do it? So that it was been told that you have a labdhi, your capacity. I am not aware of it. Raise your hand. And he raised the hand, it just touches the sky. So he says, oh, I have that labdhi. Okay. So now he comes and he becomes very small. Vaman avatar. He becomes very small, teeny tiny guy. And he comes to this Bali, and Bali has done the yagna, and he is very happy. Now he took he's taking revenge on this Muniraj. So he declares that anybody wants anything, they can get it. And Vishnu Kumar says, can I take a 3 feet land that you can give me? And Bali is laughing that how come you're asking? You're a small, teeny tiny kid, small Muniraj. How can you 3 feet earth? What will you do? So Muniraj says, give it to me. So he gives. So now Muniraj becomes Vishal. He becomes huge. And he puts his first foot on a Jambudvip. Second foot, he puts on a Manushottar Parvat. And now he says, Bali, where can I put my third foot? And so Bali realized that he made a mistake, and then he repents, and all the 700 Muniraj, they have been liberated from the Parishan Upsarg, So these kind of things are recorded in the stories, in the literature. So monks can have it. Only they will use it not for the personal gain. They will only use for humanity at large. And over here, Kunkunacharya Dev had some questions in his mind. So he went to Mahadev Kshetra. He went to...
I don't have. What I'm asking you is, how can Audharik Sharir exist in Mahavidya Kshetra?
It can go. Mahavidya Kshetra, there are people. I mean, they were people. They are people living also, and they are just like us living there. Like Kanji Swami and Champaben and Shantaben, and plus there was another fourth person was Naranbai. They all four were in Mahavidya Kshetra when Kunkun Acharya Dev went to Mahavidya Kshetra to listen to the discourses of our Simanda Swami. So all four, they met each other. And that's why when Gurudev Sri came here, and then when he got the Samesa, and he remembered from the past life, his knowledge came up, and that he started understanding all the things. And Bensri Ben also had the Jatismaran Gnan, and in her Jatismaran Gnan, she saw it that where were they before and everything. No?
Okay.
Yeah. So, any other questions so far? All right. So now we are saying even Keval Gnan Paryay also is called modal state, and thereby it's made secondary, and thereby it has been said it is untrue. Compared to what? Compared to eternal, everlasting, pure soul substance. So again, we have to understand compared to what? I can't even think about Kevagnan Paryay, and here it says it's untrue. It's secondary, because here we are saying that that thing, that the Paryay is a modal state, and the modal state compared to substance, it is considered untrue and secondary. Even though 9 reals are present in the mode, simply are made secondary and thereby untrue. Now, violence toward the eternal self. So, do I do any violence toward my eternal self? That's a question Gurudev is raising for us, and he gives the answer. What he says, when increase of attachment occurs, when I have increase of attachment, I like this thing, this is my stuff. I don't like certain things. I don't like this food. I like certain food. I don't like certain clothes. And likes and dislike when I have it means, when the likes and dislike when I have it means I have taken my vision away from the eternal true self. Remember, I like this phone because object is present, and that's why I said I like it. I like this food, so food is an object, I like it. I don't like certain food because food is an object and I put my ownership on it. I like certain things, I don't like means the object is there, I put my ownership on it. That means I'm taking my ownership from my eternal soul and I'm putting my ownership on the alien objects of the universe. I like this phone. I don't like this food. I don't like this type of clothes. I don't like it. So likes and dislikes. Those are okay because I'm putting my attention to the alien object rather than eternal soul substance. Remember, my faith can only be either or. Either it is to the eternal soul substance or it is to the alien objects of the universe. There is nothing like half and half. 100% to the alien objects of the universe, 100% to my eternal soul substance. So when I'm looking with the increase of attachment means rag, that means my attention is focused to the alien objects of the universe. Instead of experiencing eternal true self, now one has reflective thought, and that is called increase of attachment state, means it's called rag state. When I'm looking at the alien objects of the universe, then rag is created. Now, that rag is not only occurring within me. I'm on the first gunsthanak, but suppose there is a person who is on fourth gunsthanak. when he's looking at that, when puts the attention to the alien objects of the universe, then he also has a rag occurring. Samyak Darshan Jeev on fourth Gunsthanak, looking at the alien objects, putting attention there, and that is a rag is created. Fifth Gunsthanak soul, when he is a Sravak, when he is having the partial vow he is taken, still he has attention outside, that will give a rag. Even sixth Gunsthanak Muniraj, when he is from seventh Gunsthanak, means experiencing stage, when he comes up to sixth stage, and at that time, Kun Acharya Dev says, let me write down the scripture. That means that the thought occurred, that is called rag. Or Muni Maharaj, in the sixth spiritual state, will say, I would like to teach to my students. That is called rag. Well, when I'm trying to do meditation, seventh Gunsthanak, and I'm not remaining stable there because my stomach is bothering me, the hunger pain is bothering me, so now he's putting attention to the food, and at that time, he is a rag at that time. So, Chaturth Gunsthanak, fourth Gunsthanak, fifth Gunsthanak, sixth Gunsthanak, they can have also rag, but they don't have ownership on the alien objects. This is this is mine, don't touch. This is my book, don't take it. And so I have mindness. But fourth and fifth and sixth Gunsthanak Jeev, they don't have that mindness, they don't have that ownership. So they don't have mithyatva, but they still have a rag according to the stage they are in. Fourth Gunsthanak, there is some rag. Fifth Gunsthanak, there is less rag. Sixth Gunsthanak is much less rag, but they are present in a decreasing amount, but they are present. So anytime my faith is directed to outside, that means when I'm looking outside object, that means it is the rag, and that means it's a karma bondage. Means fourth, fifth, and sixth, all those Gunsthanak, they can still have a karma bondage, but they are very slim karma bondage. But they do have karma bondage occurring. But because they have experiencing of the soul, so they have the liking or disliking from the alien object, but they don't have ownership on those objects. When rag is present, that means substantial vision is absent. On a fourth Gunsthanak, fifth Gunsthanak, sixth Gunsthanak, when the rag occurs, means attention is brought to the outside material object. That means rag is generated. That means my substantial vision is not there at the time. I'm not in the experiencing phase at the time. When one takes refuge in the reflective thoughts, then he has committed violence towards his eternal self. To start with, I had directed faith to my eternal soul. So I am Samyak Drishti Jeev. But still, I have some attention to some attachment to the alien objects, be in the form of food, be in the form of family, be in the form of temple, etc., whatever. But it is there. So whenever my attention is focused outside, that means I'm not within myself. When I'm not within myself, that means I'm doing insult to my eternal soul substance. Think about it. I'm having the Mithyatva Gunsthanak. Now, I go to temple. I anonymously give them a donation. I don't want to give any name nowhere. I go to temple where nobody is there, and for hours and hours I can do reading, writing, meditating, all those things. Is that a good thing or not? Yes, it's a good thing. Is it a religion that I'm doing? Am I a religious person? Well, because I'm still in the first Gunsthanak, That means I'm in a mithyatva gunsthanak, I'm in wrong belief state. So what happens at that time, that whatever I do, I can acquire good karma, but my faith is not directed to eternal soul substance yet. That's why my attention is outside. And when focus is outside, that means I'm doing violence to my eternal self. In a Purusharth Siddhi Upay, it's been says that Ragadi Bhav એ હિંસા છે અને રાગાદી રહિતની ભાવ એ જૈન શાસનમાં કહેલા સાચી અહિંસાનું સ્વરૂપ છે. Means increase of attachment state is a violence towards the self, and experiencing of the self means it is the non-violent state, means I am towards myself, I'm getting engrossed within. So violence is given that microscopic definition there. Most of the religion, most of the people, everybody will say, my religion is to be humanity, to help everybody. You mean, can I help somebody? I pretend that I'm helping somebody, but I cannot help anybody. I give food to the hungry, because I was supposed to give food at the time, and hungry guy was supposed to get the food at the time. So that's all it happened. So I have not done anything there at all. So these are the things we have to keep in mind. That what is a violence means when my attention is, my faith is away from the soul substance. That is my violence towards myself. So I have to be careful with those situations. So I could be mildest person alive. That doesn't mean anything, because I am still not experiencing myself, so I'm committing violence towards myself. When one looks from the gross perspective, now gross and finer perspective, the experience of the unity of the soul, then he experiences the unity of the soul and the rag state. From gross perspective, yes, I'm doing rag, I'm becoming angry, I'm having ego, I have possessiveness, I'm wicked person, and I know that kind of thing, and I take responsibility for those things. I don't blame other person. I become angry because of you. I become jealous because of you. I become greedy because of you. No. I take responsibility that I am getting greedy myself. I'm getting possessive by myself. I'm getting angry by myself. And so I take the stock and I take the responsibility within me. And again, this is gross perspective still. This relationship is there for forever, since time infinite. Means in my transmigratory state, I have unity with my rag. I am angry person. I am a greedy person. I am a possessive person. I am a deceitful natured person. And so all those things are occurring within me. And that's a reason for me to have a transmigratory state forever and ever and ever in the past. Now, then the living being ends up experiencing nine elements. Now, once I am in this state in which I took the responsibility that influence of state occurs within me, and then now I end up experiencing 9 reals, because now I'm mild nature person, and I'm understanding 9 reals to understand the real nature of 9 reals. Now 9 elements, what happens? Experiencing of them in the modal state is true state. If we consider modal vision only, then experiencing of the mode is a true state from modal perspective. They do exist in the modal perspective. Their presence is not denied, but it's a modal experience. And modal experience means it produces rag. Modal experience produces influence of attachment. So it's a conventional perspective. So I have experiencing of myself in the form of modes, and when I'm experiencing my modal state, it's a conventional perspective. It's not absolute perspective. True vision, what's a true nature then? One looks from finer perspective. Previous slide was modal perspective, gross perspective, now final perspective, when one brings attention to the eternal soul. My eternal true nature, I bring the attention to. Then only the all-knower indivisible soul substance comes in experience. I want to experience myself. I have to bring my faith to me. I have to bring my faith to the eternal soul substance. And then I'll be able to experience indivisible, all-knower soul substance. The eternal soul substance is now manifested. This is true state. This is a true state. Divisions of 9 reals are not perceived in this state. Means 9 divisions are there, but they become secondary and they are not perceived because I'm perceiving the whole eternal, indivisible, permanent, everlasting soul substance. Modal perspective becomes untrue state at that time. Division of the 9 elements are present from modal perspective. We know that part. They are the true state from modal perspective, okay? But one cannot get right faith with modal perspective. Only the experiencing of all knower substance, eternal indivisible state brings the right faith. So modal perspective gives the transmigration. Eternal soul's perspective gives me the experiencing the soul and thereby end of transmigration. Actual word vikar. Now over here, Gurudev has used word vikar. Vikar means altered state or deluding state. Now, what does it mean? In generally, vikar, when we say vikar means altered state or deluding state, but over here, it is used, the word vikar is used in different perspective. When Gurudev is giving pravachans, he uses the word vikar and says, just conventional perspective, vikar means altered state or deluding state. But here the word vikar is used to describe the modal division. So the 9 division occurs within me are considered as vikar, means it is describing the divisional aspect of the mode. The division aspect occurs in the modes, and so word is used vikar there. Here it means modal division of 9 elements. So when we are talking nine elements with a modal division, then the word vikar is used. The reason for the division are considered as 9 elements, including stoppage, shading, and liberation. So the word vikar when we are using, it is for the 9 elements, including stoppage, shading, and liberation element also. That is also considered as vikar, means modal state over here. For a novice person, when he sees that a word vikar is used, then he says, wait a second, how come stoppage, shading, and liberation are also called vikar? That vikar is simply giving 9 division, the 9 elements in the modal division in the soul. Therefore, Samvara, Nidra, and Moksha are also called vikar over here. Vikar means divisions only. Mode ends up performing a specific act, means Vishesh Karya. Modes are doing a specific work. Each mode generating has its own specific action to be done. And so it's called Vishesh Karya or specific act. For that to happen, the instrumental cause is the non-living material karma. See, the specific act to occur, there is instrumental cause present, and that's called non-living material karma. Instrumental cause in the form of presence or absence. Remember, we said before also, presence or absence can be instrumental cause. In modal division, instrumental cause of karma is considered. Thereby, the divisions are perceived, instrumental cause are from presence or absence perspective, means sadbhav or bhav apeksha. Remember, when Acharya Bhagavan says something, he really makes sure, Omniscient Lord, when he says something, he really makes sure that there are no room for any confusion. Siddha Bhagwan has a mode. Every samay a mode gets generated in Siddha Bhagwan also. Just like every soul, they have a mode generating. Just like every matter substance has a mode generating. Just like all the 6 substances of the universe have mode generating every moment. So Siddha Bhagwan also has a mode generating. In Siddha Bhagwan's mode generation, at that time, there is an instrumental cause in the form of absence of karma acting as instrumental cause. Karmana abhav rup nimit che. Siddha Bhagwan also has nimit, but that nimit is absence of karma. Absence of karma. So that is means it is so nicely. There is no room for any confusion at all. If I don't understand, does not mean that the scripture has not mentioned. It has been mentioned. Only thing, I have to look very carefully and understand that carefully. For presence perspective, inclusive attachment, auspicious inclination, inauspicious inclination, influence, bondage elements are concerned. From karma being present perspective of karma as an instrumental cause is present in the auspicious inclination, is inauspicious inclination, influence, bondage, and the absence of karma perspective is present in samvar, nija, and moksha. From absence perspective, stoppage, shading, and liberation elements are considered. So karma remain absence of karma as an instrumental cause. In above bullets, presence of karma as an instrumental cause, but there is an instrumental cause present. Instrumental cause does not do anything to the reaction of the principal cause. Simply, it is present. Just like the water presence is important for fish to swim, but water does not do anything to the fish. Fish is swimming by itself. Simply, water is present. From auspicious inclination, inauspicious inclination, inflow, and bondage, one considers the presence of karma as relativity point. Means sadbhav rup sapekshta. Means presence of karma as relativity point. Relativity point means sapekshta. So presence of karma is there. Now, for stoppage, shading, and liberation, one considers absence of karma as relativity point, means abhav rup sapekshta. When one considers from relativity point or relativistic point, then the inherent nature is not considered. Now, this is very important bullet over here. What it says? When we consider from relativistic point of view, means presence or absence of karma acting as instrumental cause, means it's a modal state. When it's a modal state, then it is not paramparnamic bhav, means not the inherent nature. It's not the eternal inherent state of the soul. There are 5 types of inclinations occurs in the soul. One is a inclination related to the fruition of karma. Second is occurring because of karma getting subsided. So that's a second type of inclination occurring in the soul. Third one is a partial separation, partial fruition of the karma, and at that time soul has that particular type of inclination. Fourth one is karma are totally absent as a karma perspective. Then there is an inclination in the soul. And fifth one is a parinamic bhav in which presence or absence of karma fruition is not considered at all. It is an innate state of the soul, eternal state of the soul. So these five bhav, we have gone through that in the past, and so it's called Upsham bhav, Audaik bhav, Upsham bhav, Kshapshamik bhav, Kshayik bhav. They all four inclinations are related with presence or absence of karma, means there is relativity point is there. The eternal, pure, inherent nature of the soul has no relationship with any karma at all. So that state of the soul is free of any relativity. So it's a non-relativistic point. So that's a karma nirapekshpano, means there is no consideration of any karma at all in the eternal, innate, pure nature of the soul, which is called paramparnamik bhav. Soul's five extraordinary disposition, Atmana, Pach, Asadharan Bhav. I think we will be at those five things that I mentioned. We'll go in somewhat detail so that it will refresh our memory and everything, and that we will be going further on that one. So we'll make it next week. Anytime, any questions so far? Yes, any questions?
No, we're good.
Okay. All right. Then we'll just do the closing right now. Okay. Javani ke jnana se suje lokalo, sovani mastaka namo sada deta hu. 9th of November. जय जिनेन्द्र
अरे जल्दी पती गયું
ના થોડું બસ 5 મિનિટ બાકી છે
નહીં 9th આપણે 10
ના 6:30 સુધી છે ને 5 થી 6:30 I mean 8 to 9:30.
Oh, we started at 8 today?
हाँ, we started 8, right?
8:30 ne?
No, 8.